asked to baptize one of the members of one of those people, okay? In one of them, when I said, okay, I can baptize you, but I don't know how other people do it. Here's what I do, and I think it fulfills the symbol, okay? When I baptize somebody, I baptize them into the church. That is, with baptism, they become a member of the church, okay? The reason being, how were you placed into the family of God? Okay, by a new birth, okay? And then you followed the Lord in believers' what? Baptism, okay? And you were placed into the family of God. Is it not the church an outsource of that universal church where made up of all denominations? And so when the one asked, I said, okay, I said, I can baptize you. There's nothing that says I can't. But I said, I think what you ought to do is think about your relationship and make it right, because if I baptize you, you become a member of the church. Now I'm going to be forced to exercise discipline. And I don't think that'll help you as a new believer. And she just kind of dropped her head and said, I kind of thought about that. And within a week, she moved out, okay? Within 2 weeks, they were married, okay? He got saved shortly after that, and they were serving the Lord, till we left up there, okay? And by the way, I had to exercise discipline against that guy at one point in the church, but then he got things right and came back, and we were good friends. In fact, I talked to him on the phone not long ago. Also, here, had a couple come, same situation. Trusted Christ as their Savior and asked to be baptized. And when I explained to them, well, here's the deal. I can do it, but you're going to be a member of the church, and then I'm going to have to exercise discipline. They didn't take too well to that, and haven't seen them since, okay? So, but the whole thing is, that's as wide open, it's as much in the church as it is out of the church. And I've had even on one occasion where I had to publicly refuse to let one join the church because he came with that and he said he was saved and he wanted to join the church. I couldn't let him join the church. And even after I told him that I couldn't let him join the church, he still came forward in the invitation to join the church. And now I'm stuck here in front of this whole church. And I thought maybe he thought I was going to give in, since he was up there. And I just looked at him and said, not going to happen. You cannot do that till you get things right at home. And I don't have to tell you this. I didn't see him after that either. Okay? So, but these are things that, we take these things for granted. Those of us who are doing it, we take those things for granted, but God is very clear about that. Marriage is to be honored by all believers. The bed is undefiled in marriage. And the marriage is supposed to be absolutely free from moral impurity. And then he goes on and he says here that whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. They're going to be judged by God. And folks, our responsibility is to help them. We don't condone what somebody does just simply because with their friends. We have to draw the line. You have to determine in this thing, and you lose a lot of people on this, but you have to determine who you're going to stand true to. Am I going to stand true to my friends, or am I going to stand true to God? Who's going to be my judge in the end? God is going to be my judge, is he not? And so that's what we have to do. These words include all forms of sexual advice, that is, premarital, adultery, homosexuality, etc. Go right on, pick any one you want. God knows what immorality causes. And here's where we've got, diseases today. It causes one, loss of innocence, okay? We talk about when people do this, they lose their innocence. It causes broken homes. How many... adults, I feel bad for them because they allowed it to happen. But I really I feel bad for the kids that are stuck in the middle of it, okay? And they had nothing to do with it, but yet they feel guilty over it. It causes destroyed lives. It causes diseases. You know, a few years back, you don't hear much about it today, except, you know, once in a while you'll hear something about it. But you know, when the AIDS epidemic was running wild, when we first learned of what it was and how rampant it was running, everybody's trying to figure out how to cure it. Well, folks, there's a cure for all of these social diseases. What is it? Somebody tell me.
Abstinence.
Abstinence will fix it every time. I preached one time in a church, and I said it like this, and that's when the AIDS thing was going wild. And it wasn't my church, but I preached and I addressed it in that message, and I said, you know how to solve this thing? It doesn't cost a dime to solve it. One man, one woman, one lifetime. It'll take care of it. I'm not sure that that's the place I should have said it. But at any rate, worked out. I never preached there again. There was a reason why. So, you know, it's amazing. Unwanted pregnancies. Do you know we could cut down on abortion if we just lived moral lives? Well, I tell you what, that's probably one of the best ways to stop it. Yeah. 55 million, is it, that's been aborted since...
He named all the states. If you put all these states together, that would show how many babies. And he named several big states. It would break your heart.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I'll just tell you, I don't know if I read this or heard this. During the virus deal here, when you couldn't go to the doctor, you couldn't go to the dentist, you couldn't go to the hospital, you couldn't have surgery, you could have abortions, but you know what number I heard, how many was being performed in Kentucky daily during that time? 700. 700 every day. I don't know where they got the number from or whether it's an accurate number, but I'm thinking, and they said what was happening was people was coming from other states here because they could do it here. And we were not the only state that was allowing it, by the way. But the thing is, don't tell me we're broken over, you know, what is it, 512 people who have died from the coronavirus. I mean, we need to be broken over that. That needs to bother us. But when you kill 700 innocent babies every day, where's the greatest crisis? You know, these kids didn't even have a choice in it. But, well, I guess...
There's this commercial that I see on TV, but it's for a medicine, a prescription. It says, "But don't take this; it can hurt an unborn baby." You know,
Right.
They're real careful to say that at the end.
Well, think about this. They turn around and they say it's not a baby, it's not a person yet, but you go out here and get drunk and run into some woman who's pregnant and kill her and the baby, and guess what? You've got 2 murders on your hands. What a hypocrisy. In fact, I think everybody that does that ought to argue that point with them. You know, that you said that life is not real, that it's not a life, okay? And how can you charge me with murder if that's a life? And if that's the case, then you're all murderers every day that you take one of those little innocent lives, and you ought to be going to jail too. But they don't see it that way, and we can argue it till the cows come home, and they'll never... Let's see, okay, it's 5 after 8, so I guess we probably should stop, and we'll pick up with verses 5 and 6. They go together here next week. But, you know, we treat this book as though it turns into options for us, and God never gave us options of any kind. He just simply told us what we ought to do, and, you know, sometimes we rob ourselves of the blessings of God because we don't listen to what He tells us. All right. Any questions or comments? All right then, we shall be dismissed in prayer. Let's stand, and Earl, you lead us.